The television flickered with images I couldn't process, chaotic scenes, urgent voices, and a sense of dread that crept into the room like a cold wind. Explosions painted the pre-dawn sky over Kiev, turning the darkness into a canvas of fire and fear. The headline was brutal: War in Ukraine. The words felt unreal, as if they belonged to another world, another time. My city was under attack. The familiar sounds of my neighborhood vanished, replaced by sirens, distant impacts, and the echo of uncertainty that settled over every street. My hand shook as I clutched a cold cup of coffee. It was February 24th, 2022, a date now seared into my memory, a line dividing my life into before and after. My name is Anya. Before that day, I was a photographer, capturing moments of joy and peace, freezing laughter and sunlight in my lens. Now my world was chaos and fear. My camera bag sat by the door, a relic from a life that no longer existed, gathering dust as the world outside changed forever. The future I'd planned vanished in the smoke rising over my city. My only thought: survive. Dreams and plans faded, replaced by the instinct to keep breathing, keep moving. Leaving wasn't a single choice, but 1,000 tiny surrenders, each item packed or left behind a silent goodbye to the life I knew. My home, my career, my friends, my sense of safety, all left behind in the rush to escape, each loss a weight pressing on my heart. I packed a small backpack, just the essentials, though nothing felt truly essential anymore. Passport, clothes, camera, reminders of who I was and who I might still be if I survived. A faded photo of my parents, their smiles a fragile anchor in a world turned upside down. The journey to the border was a blur of crowded trains, tear-streaked faces, and constant fear. Every station, every checkpoint was a test of hope and endurance. I watched my country disappear from a bus window, the fields of sunflowers morning under a gray sky, each mile taking me further from everything I loved. I didn't know where I was going, only that I had to keep moving, step by uncertain step, into the unknown. I was a refugee. The word felt foreign, heavy, but it was now my reality, stamped on my documents and etched into my soul. I was one of millions, scattered by war, clutching a fragile hope for a future that was a blank canvas, waiting for new colors, new stories. The bombs fell on Kiev, but the shrapnel lodged deep within my heart, leaving scars invisible to the world. My life, once filled with carefully framed images, was now a story of survival. Each day a new frame, each memory a testament to endurance and hope. The first weeks were a blur of transit hubs and shelters across Europe. I moved from one crowded station to another, always surrounded by strangers, yet feeling completely alone. The constant movement made it hard to process what was happening, as if I was drifting through someone else's life. Each city reminded me of what I'd lost. The familiar comforts of home were gone, replaced by unfamiliar streets and foreign languages. The beauty of Prague, the bustle of Vienna, none of it felt real. The world moved on, vibrant and alive, while I felt frozen in time, unable to join in. I was a ghost, invisible to the happy families around me, carrying the war within. Their laughter echoed, a painful reminder of what I'd left behind. Loud noises made me flinch. Sleep brought only nightmares. My savings dwindled, each day a reminder that my safety was temporary, my future uncertain. The future felt like a closing door. Every plan I made seemed to vanish before I could reach it. I scrolled through visa options, countries that felt as distant as the moon. Each possibility seemed impossible, just another dream slipping away. Then I saw it, the Philippines, a visa program for those displaced by conflict. It was a glimmer of hope in a sea of closed doors. I knew nothing about the country, only images of beaches and palm trees. The idea of starting over somewhere so different was terrifying, but also strangely comforting. It was a desperate gamble, but my only option. I packed my life into a single suitcase, not knowing if I'd ever return. The journey was long and exhausting, each mile taking me further from the woman I used to be. Every airport, every layover felt like shedding another layer of my old self. I clutched my camera, the only link to my past. Its familiar weight in my hands was a small comfort, a reminder of who I once was. When the plane descended into Manila, a sprawling, chaotic city emerged from the clouds. The city seemed to pulse with life, overwhelming and new. I was a stranger here, a single drop in an ocean of unfamiliar faces. The sounds, the smells, the language, all of it reminded me how far I'd come. I had escaped the war, but I feared I'd only traded one devastation for another. The quiet, isolating devastation of being utterly alone in a world that didn't know my name or my story. Stepping out of the airport was like walking into a wall of heat and sound. The air was thick, the noise a symphony of chaos, jeepneys honking, vendors shouting, a language I didn't understand. My winter coat felt absurd, marking me as an outsider. My first home was a small, rented room overlooking tangled wires and tin roofs. The city's sounds never ceased: roosters, dogs, karaoke music. I spent weeks in isolation, walking the streets with my head down, my camera bag unopened. Manila was a labyrinth, its energy overwhelming. I missed the simple things: dark rye bread, my language, a sense of belonging. I had escaped the war, but I was still a prisoner of my own grief. The tropical sun was relentless, mocking my grief with its brilliance. Culture shock crept in: strange food, unfamiliar customs, a language I couldn't speak. I pointed and gestured in the market, feeling like a child. The inability to communicate deepened my isolation. My camera stayed in its bag. How could I capture beauty when my heart was so heavy? The creative spark that once defined me was extinguished by trauma and loneliness. Some days despair pressed down on me, making it hard to breathe. I questioned my decision to come here, fearing I'd built a new prison for myself. I was adrift, with no anchor, dissolving into the noise and heat of this overwhelming city. Just as hope wore thin, the world pushed back in small, unexpected ways. An elderly woman at the market corrected my coins and added a mango to my bag, a universal language of kindness. The security guard greeted me daily. A neighbor left adobo on my doorstep. These weren't grand gestures, but lifelines pulling me closer to shore. Filipinos had a deep capacity for empathy, meeting a stranger's need with an open heart. Emboldened, I finally took my camera out. I started with inanimate objects, then noticed the laughter lines, the vibrant resilience of life. An old man weaving baskets smiled and showed me his craft, proud to share his world. In that shared moment, I felt a flicker of my old self return. The artist, the storyteller, was not dead, just sleeping. My return to photography led me to a community art space in Manila. There, I met Mateo, a documentary filmmaker passionate about his country's stories. He noticed my camera and spoke to me about light, composition, and storytelling. For the first time, I felt seen for who I was, not just for what I'd survived. We met for coffee, our conversations weaving between art and life. Mateo showed me his Manila: hidden courtyards, vibrant galleries, quiet corners of history. With him, the city felt less like a labyrinth and more like a home waiting to be discovered. He never pressed me about the war, creating a safe space for me to simply be. One afternoon by the bay, I finally told him everything: Kiev, the sirens, the escape, the loneliness. I cried and he listened, his presence a steady anchor. He didn't offer platitudes, just silent, unwavering support. In his company, I found peace. I was no longer just a refugee. I was Anya, seen and understood. Mateo invited me to his family's home in Batangas, by the sea. His mother embraced me as her own. His father welcomed me with quiet respect. Life moved at a different pace, governed by sun and tides. I learned to eat with my hands, sharing meals on banana leaves. No one cared about my past. They cared that I was present. It was a language of the heart: shared food, laughter, quiet moments. Mateo and I walked the beaches, my camera finally an extension of my arm again. I photographed fishermen, children, and the play of light through palm trees. Mateo taught me to find beauty in small, everyday moments. One evening, he told me about Tadhana, destiny. He believed fate had brought me here. For the first time, I felt I belonged. I was not just a survivor, I was Anya, and I was falling in love. Back in Manila, I felt a shift within me. The city's chaos now had a rhythm. Inspired by Mateo, I wanted to give back. I volunteered to teach photography to children in an underserved neighborhood. The kids were shy, but curiosity won over. I taught them to frame a shot, find the light, and see beauty in their world. Through their eyes, I began to heal. Their laughter and creativity were a powerful antidote to my sorrow. In teaching them to see, I was relearning how to see myself. I was no longer just a victim. I was a teacher, a mentor, an artist. My camera became a tool for connection and empowerment, a bridge between my past and future. The community faced challenges, but they had hope and bayanihan, communal unity. When a typhoon damaged the center, everyone helped rebuild. I documented it all, telling a story of strength. I was finally creating again, honoring my present and the resilience I found in this unexpected home. My art was no longer an escape, it was a celebration. Today is August 2nd, 2025. The date feels heavy with meaning, a quiet milestone that marks not just the passage of time, but the distance I've traveled, both in miles and in spirit. Over 3 years have passed since I fled Kiev. The memories of my old life linger, echoing in my mind like distant thunder, but I am learning to let them settle gently. The war continues, a constant ache in my heart, but it no longer defines me. I carry it with me, but I am more than my pain, more than my past. Pain is just one chapter in a longer story. Each day, I write a new page, sometimes with tears, sometimes with hope. Peace is not the absence of conflict, but the ability to hold both sorrow and joy. It's learning to breathe through the ache and still find beauty in small moments. It's watching the sunset with Mateo, hearing children's laughter, tasting a sweet mango. These simple joys remind me that life continues, even after loss. It's the kindness of strangers and finding home in unexpected places. Every smile, every shared meal, every gentle welcome has helped me heal. The Philippines is my home now, built on kindness and respect. Here, I've discovered a new sense of belonging, woven from the warmth of community. Mateo and I are building a life together, a fusion of two cultures, blending traditions, stories, and dreams into something uniquely ours. My photography now tells stories of hope and resilience. Through my lens, I capture the strength and spirit of the people who welcomed me. I'm planning a new gallery show, a love letter to the people who saved me and to the land that gave me a second chance. To anyone feeling lost or broken, healing is a journey, not a destination. It's a path you walk, sometimes stumbling, sometimes soaring. It begins with a small step, a plate of food, a new experience, a willingness to open your heart to the unfamiliar. Sometimes it's a leap into the unknown, trusting that the ground will appear beneath your feet. Belonging can be found in unlikely corners of the world, in laughter shared over coffee, or in the gentle touch of a new friend. Sometimes you have to lose everything to find what truly matters. Letting go is painful, but it makes space for something new to grow. And sometimes, the place you were running to is the place you were always meant to find. Home is not a location, but a feeling that grows inside you. This is my story, a story of loss, hope, and finding home. And maybe it can be yours too, if you listen for the echoes and follow where they lead.